Today you become Zhou Yu, Grand Marshal of Eastern Wu. The borrowing of arrows with straw boats, the summoning of the east wind, those were my doing. The chain ship stratagem I devised together with Huang Gai. Even the fire at Red Cliffs was lit by my hand. Yet why is it that the villain you remember is me, while the hero you remember is Zhuge Liang? My name is Zhou Yu, courtesy name Guanzhong. Born in Shu County of Lujiang in the year 175 AD. In the records of the Three Kingdoms, Chen Shou left a single line about me. Magnanimous in temperament, refined in bearing. Meaning, in plain words, that I had a generous heart and a calm spirit. Sun Tzu and I were the same age, sworn brothers. Our two families shared a great mansion in Shu County. He called me Guanzhong, and I called him Bofu. Later, when he swept across the lands east of the river, I rode at his side and conquered half of the south with him. The year Sun Tzu was struck down by an assassin and died young. I was only 26. I rushed back from Baiqiu to Wu Commandery and steadied the throne for his 19-year-old brother, Sun Quan. Eastern Wu held together because of me. The year Cao Cao demanded our surrender was the 13th year of Jianan. Almost every civil official in the south urged capitulation, and Sun Quan wavered. I laid my sword flat upon the table, and together with Lu Su, I pulled him back from the edge of doubt. At the Battle of Red Cliffs, the supreme field commander was me. Sun Quan gave me 30,000 troops, naming Cheng Pu and myself as left and right commanders, sent to intercept Cao Cao's fleet sailing down the Yangtze. The records of the Three Kingdoms states this plainly. I took one look at Cao's warships and saw a fatal flaw. Northern men were unfamiliar with naval warfare. They had chained their vessels together, ship to ship, to steady their formation. That was the thinking of an infantryman, not a naval commander. Huang Gai came to me and said, with the ships locked together so tightly, a single fire would consume them all. I told him I had been thinking the same. The feigned surrender was his idea. The fire ships, we prepared together. As for the so-called summoning of the east wind, let me tell you the truth. Along the middle and lower Yangtze around the winter solstice, an unseasonal southeasterly wind often arises. It is meteorology, not sorcery. Any general of the era who knew the river knew this. I had stared at the banners on the river for days, waiting for that very wind. The moment it shifted, Huang Gai led 10 great ships under feigned surrender straight into Cao's fleet. When the fire took hold, the entire Yangtze was lit up. Cao Cao's navy burned to ash in a single night. His army of more than 200,000 routed and fled along Huarong Road. That single battle held the realm in 3 pieces for 70 years. The man who commanded that battle was me, Zhou Yu. After Red Cliffs, I marched north at once and laid siege to Nan Commandery. The fight dragged on for over a year. I took an arrow myself and was gravely wounded, but in the end I drove out Cao Run and seized Nan Commandery. The romance of the Three Kingdoms barely mentions any of this. Once Nan Commandery was in hand, I sent a memorial to Sun Quan proposing the grand strategy. Take Yizhou, absorb Zhonglu, ally with Ma Chao, and then strike Cao Cao from 2 directions. Sun Quan approved, and I began my westward campaign. The true origin of the borrowing of arrows lies in the records of the Lord of Wu, within the records of the Three Kingdoms. 5 years after Red Cliffs, Sun Quan himself sailed out on a great ship to observe Cao's army. One side of the ship was riddled with arrows, so he ordered it turned around to let the other side take its share. It had nothing to do with me, and nothing to do with Zhuge Liang. So what you imagine to be Zhuge Liang's borrowing of arrows was in fact something Sun Quan did on a whim. What you imagine to be Zhuge Liang's summoning of the east wind was something I waited out. What you imagine to be Zhuge Liang's chain ship stratagem was something I devised with Huang Gai. Luo Guanzhong lived at the end of the Yuan and the beginning of the Ming dynasty. He stood 1,100 years removed from Red Cliffs. He set out to write a captivating novel, and a captivating novel needs an absolute protagonist. He chose Zhuge Liang, so I had no choice but to step aside. First, he took the borrowing of arrows from Sun Quan and placed it on me. Then he lifted it from me and placed it on Zhuge Liang, dressed up with a written military pledge and 100,000 arrows in 10 days. turning it into a piece of theater. To be honest, that piece of theater was beautifully written. Then he took the summoning of the east wind, added a 7-star altar, and had Zhuge Liang loose his hair and brandish a sword to perform a rite. Yet in the biography of Zhuge Liang within the records of the Three Kingdoms, not a single character mentions the east wind, and certainly not an altar. He also staged the so-called Kongming encounter, in which Zhuge Liang slipped into my camp at night to discuss how to defeat Qiao, and we both wrote the character for fire in our palms at the same moment. That night never happened. More egregious still is the three angering of Zhou Yu. In the novel he writes that I envied talent and was provoked by Zhuge Liang into spitting blood, weeping in the end the line, "Heaven, since you made you, why also Liang?" In the records of the Three Kingdoms, none of this exists. Not a single character. Chen Shou's actual words about me were, magnanimous in temperament, refined in bearing. It means a man with an exceptionally generous heart and an exceptionally broad spirit. In the language of historical records, this is one of the highest forms of praise that can be given a general. The romance turned the magnanimous and refined me into a small-hearted villain. The story needed someone to be outshone by Zhuge Liang, and so I was named. Lu Su was rewritten in the same way. Cao Cao too. The romance of the Three Kingdoms has circulated for more than 600 years. Storytellers, opera singers, filmmakers, game designers, all follow Luo Guanzhong's version. So 1,000 years on, no one remembers the real me anymore. In truth, I never lived long enough for any such melodrama to play out. In the 15th year of Jianan, I requested command of an expedition into Ezhou, intending to carry out that westward strategy. Before setting out, I fell ill at Baiqiu. Baiqiu lies in what is today the Yiyang region of Hunan. That year, I was 36. Lying on my sickbed, I wrote a long letter to Sun Quan. It was the final military council I left to Eastern Wu. I cursed no one. I made no mention of Zhuge Liang. I never cried out, "Heaven, since you made you, why also Liang?" I recommended Lu Su to inherit my post as Grand Marshal, because he was the friend I knew best and trusted most. When Sun Quan finished reading the letter, he wept on the spot. In later years, whenever a great matter arose in Eastern Wu, he would still murmur, "Gongjin is no longer here." This detail is recorded in the comprehensive mirror in aid of governance. I had 2 sons. The elder, Zhou Sun, was later married to Sun Luban as imperial son-in-law. The younger, Zhou Yin, was in theft as a marquis. The way the House of Sun in Eastern Wu treated my family was far more devoted than the romance ever suggests. My wife, Xiao Qiao, was the second daughter of Lord Qiao of Lujiang. Her elder sister, De Qiao, married Sun Su. The same year Sun Su married De Qiao, I married Xiao Qiao. We 2 brothers held our weddings together. Centuries later, Su Shi wrote Nianujio, reflecting on the past, at Red Cliffs. The line, "Xiao Qiao newly wed, his bearing noble and bright," was written about me. In the eyes of the Song people, I was a young hero, never a villain. The Tang scholar Pei Songji, in his annotations to the records of the Three Kingdoms, stated plainly that the fire attack at Red Cliffs was planned by me. The Song historian Sima Guang, in compiling the comprehensive mirror in aid of governance, also credited the Red Cliffs campaign to me. I knew music. The records of the Three Kingdoms note, when a melody falters, Master Zhou turns his head, meaning even after wine, if a musician struck a wrong note, I would still glance back. This is the other side of me that history preserved. So the man you see should not be that small-hearted villain provoked into spitting blood. I was a general who died of illness on the front line at the age of 36, a young man who knew music, who had a magnanimous spirit, who fought to build a kingdom side by side with his sworn brother. Chen Shou closed his account of me in the records of the Three Kingdoms with 8 characters, a man of independent judgment, standing far above his peers. To possess true judgment of one's own, and to far surpass other men. Such praise from a historian is rare. The Western Jin historian Sun Sheng said of me, "Gongjin was a hero of singular gifts, seldom equaled in any age." The Eastern Jin scholar Yuan Hong, in his eulogies of famous ministers of the Three Kingdoms, ranked me first among Eastern Wu, ahead of Lu Su and Lu Sun. During the Jianzhong era of the Tang, the imperial court established a martial temple to honor the great generals of every dynasty. Of the 64 names enshrined there, I was one. Among those who entered the temple alongside me were Han Xian, Bai Qi, Wei Qing, and Hui Zubing. When Su Shi of the Song dynasty visited Red Cliffs and beheld the rivers and mountains as if painted, the man he thought of was me. He wrote, "I think back to Ganjin in those days, Xiao Qiao newly wed, his bearing noble and bright, feathered fan in hand and silken band on his head, while between laughter and conversation the enemy's ships and oars vanished into ash and smoke." Notice this carefully. The feathered fan and silken band Su Shi describes do not refer to Zhuge Liang. They refer to me. In Su Shi's age, Gong Jin was the defining figure of the Battle of Red Cliffs. Yet 200 years later, Luo Guanzhong of the late Yuan and early Ming took up his brush. From that moment on, the feathered fan and silken band were painted onto Zhuge Liang. The fire of Red Cliffs was painted onto Zhuge Liang. I became a supporting character. And 400 years on, television, cinema, games, and comics all follow the romance. On every screen, I am forever being provoked, forever spitting blood, forever crying out, "Heaven, since you made you, why also Liang?" Luo Guanzhong meant no malice. He simply wanted to write a fine novel. But the novel spread too widely, and too few read the histories. So across 600 years, I became the small-hearted villain. This is the gulf between literature and history. A captivating novel can sink a real man to the bottom of the river for 600 years. Today, sitting here before you, I only wish to say a few things. First, the fire at Red Cliffs was lit by me. Second, the summoning of the east wind was my reading of the climate. Third, the chain ship stratagem was devised by me together with Huang Gai. Fourth, the three angering of Zhou Yu never took place. Fifth, I was not provoked to death. I died of illness. Sixth, my dying words recommended Lu Su. They were not curses against Zhuge Liang. Seventh, when Sun Quan heard of my death, he wept bitterly within his own palace. Eighth, Chen Shou, Su Shi, Sima Guang. Every man who ever truly read the histories regarded me as a first-rank figure of the Three Kingdoms era. The only one who cast me as a villain was Luo Guanzhong, alone. Luo Guanzhong's novel is a fine novel, but a novel is not history. If all you have ever seen are the television dramas, then the man you know is not Zhou Yu. It is a character drawn by Luo Guanzhong's brush. The next time someone in front of you says, "Heaven, since you made you, why also Liang?" you may tell them this line does not appear in the records of the Three Kingdoms. The next time someone says the borrowing of arrows was Zhuge Liang's doing, you may tell them the original was Sun Quan. I lived 36 years. I fought the battle at Red Cliffs and laid the foundation for the realm divided in three. The greater part of that credit was taken from me, and I bear no resentment. I only hope that someone, somewhere, still remembers the half that was true. This was the life chapter of Zhou Yu, Grand Marshal of Eastern Wu. Forward this video to a friend who loves the Three Kingdoms, and say to me, Gong Jin, magnanimous and refined. For next time, would you like to see A. Sima E. deified by the men of Jin? Or B. Wang Mang, viewed from a modern angle as a reformer? Vote A or B in the comments. I will see you next time.